Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hide the kids and pop the top on a cold one. Coming to you from the Riverbank studio in Nitro, West Virginia, please welcome the inebriated cast of Section 304.
Welcome to Section 304 podcast, where we're drinking beers and talking ears. And I'm in the studio with John Crum, and Diddy is MIA.
MIA. He has a bye. He's on a bye week too.
Huh. I guess we didn't get that memo again.
No.
We're gonna have a talk about these unexcused absences or last minute call-ins.
Have to dock his pay.
I know, it's getting ridiculous.
But West Virginia bye week, kind of slow. Not a whole lot of news coming out of our camp. I didn't really hear anything.
No, but I think the bye week for us came at the right time.
Yeah, we played 5 straight weeks. That's a lot, especially. I mean, in a normal year, that's a lot. But given everything that's gone on this year, that is definitely a little bit of a grind. And I think they earned some rest, and it couldn't come at a better time with Oklahoma coming to town, because it appears that Oklahoma has righted the ship, and they're starting to get rolling with Rattler.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Our defense is going to get tested. Our defense will definitely get tested this week. But with him, it seems like from watching Oklahoma, you punch him in his mouth, he don't like to be hit.
No. I mean, that to me, that would be the key to the game. I thought Oklahoma State did a great job stopping their run, and they just hit him downfield. And Oklahoma State has a great secondary, so it's going to be a challenge. I mean, I have confidence that we will stop their run, but can we stop them through the air? Because they got playmakers, and like I said, I mean, Rattler has seemed to settle in, and it was interesting watching the game last night. Herb Street and Fowler were talking about how Lincoln Riley had the previous 3 guys, Mayfield, Hurts, and Kyler Murray, were all transfers.
Right.
And they were experienced. They had played before. Rattler hadn't played before. So it has taken him a little bit more time, because people thought he was going to be a Heisman candidate.
Right, and I dare to say that this is his first recruited quarterback, is it not? Or did Rattler get recruited under Stoops?
No, he would have been under Riley.
Okay.
Riley's been the coach for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
So this is his first legit recruited quarterback.
Yeah, the first guy that he's brought in and had to develop
as the head coach.
Right.
So, and beginning of the season, watching them play, I would have said we're going to tear them up. That Rattler was a great high school quarterback, but wasn't that good. It didn't translate into college once getting into that college game and that college speed. But it seems like after he got benched for a little bit and was told to settle down and let the game come to him, things are starting to click for him.
Yep.
I'm not a fan of him. I think he's a douchebag, or in the woods of Durrett, Peckerwood.
Peckerwood. I didn't watch that show, so I don't really have that reference to him being sort of a punk from high school.
All you got to do is go there and watch like the first couple episodes of him, and you'll get it.
Yeah. Well,
now I will say that their new running back is playing with their running back that just came back.
The big dude.
Yeah, that's down to about 236. They said last night. I mean, he's playing to prove a point.
Well, I can think in years past when we've played Oklahoma, their offensive line has been dominant, and I don't see that this year. I mean, they could push us around. I don't know, but they have the running game along with the just weapons all over the field for the passing attack. And it seemed to me like I can remember in 2014 when we played them, they had Smargy Prine.
Yeah.
And they just ran it down our throat. I mean, we were trying to go. If you remember,
we tried to stack the box and couldn't do it.
Right, and we were keeping up with them early in the game through the air. And, of course, you got to control the line of scrimmage. So we started throwing incomplete passes, and we couldn't run the ball on them, and then Smargy Prine just killed us.
Yeah.
So Joe Mixon, I remember him killing us, and, of course, their wide receivers have killed us. Last night was interesting to me because what happened to Oklahoma State against Oklahoma is normally what happens to us.
Right.
Come out, get down, have some adversity, and I mean, we've never really been able to get back in the game when that happens against them. And Oklahoma State kept it within striking distance, but they could never sort of get it back down to a touchdown. And I have to admit, I was impressed with Oklahoma's defense.
I wasn't.
You weren't?
Second half, maybe. But that first half, I mean, it's not your typical Oklahoma defense. I think that if this team comes, if WVU comes out like the K-State game, you know, like TCU, you know, I think it's going to be. I think we're going to be able to compete, if not win the game.
Here's what I like, and they were talking about this during the game, where they have been so bad on defense the last 2 or 3 years, and they started. I guess they started improving last year a little bit, but they got humiliated against LSU.
Yeah,
I mean, 49 points in the first half?
Yeah,
it was just a joke. Their defense was a joke when we had Will Grier. I mean, that was one of the worst defensive games I've ever seen, right up there with when we beat Baylor 70-63. So they have made it a point of emphasis, and I think this is across the league. I think every team in the Big 12 has taken the criticism that
we're not
the
a
whole
defense.
league has taken for the last, 8 years, and defense has been made a priority. But Oklahoma stunts. They play extremely aggressive on the defensive line. So they're going to be aggressive, but I think you can counter that. I think with Letty, there's certain things Neil can do scheme-wise to counter that. And I honestly think we are going to try to run the ball and play ball control, very similar to what we did against Kansas State, very similar to what we did against Texas, and very similar to what we did against TCU.
Yeah, and I think with how aggressive Oklahoma is, as long as our receivers are catching the ball, we're good at the quick passes. You know, I mean, our offense is set up for those quick, you know, slants, little outs, little, slip screens. I think that's where we get Oklahoma, on top of playing ball control.
Yeah. And when a team plays aggressive, there's certain things. I'm not a coach. There's certain things you can do to adjust to that. And I don't have any doubt that Brown will try to do that. It's just going to come down to if we can block them and run effectively. Because if we can't run effectively, I don't see us keeping up in a track meet with them.
Right. I mean, what it's going to come down to overall, forget anything else, it's going to come down to our offensive line. And our offensive line is about to be tested. Our offensive line has been the question mark of the season. I mean, we're rotating people in on the line during the game. I mean, that's not something that you normally see.
No, and they've gotten better.
They have gotten better.
They've gotten better, but they're still sort of they're very young, and they're still kind of work in progress. But I like our interior line.
Yeah.
The interior of the two, it's always been the tackles that have been the question marks. And I think if I say we run at them, just run right at them between the guards and just try to run it down their throat. The key for me on defense is pass rush. I think we will stop their run because we're pretty good against the run. And they like to bust stuff outside. I think we can keep contain and do that. Can we get after Rattler?
Yeah.
And make him uncomfortable? He did not look very uncomfortable last night.
No.
He was slinging the ball down the field. He got sacked a couple times, but
those were covered sacks. I mean, they weren't. It wasn't because of the pressure. Well, this will be, in my opinion, this is almost like a statement game for Darius. Darius has to come out and have a great game this game with the hopes of, getting drafted in the first two, at least being a first day.
First round guy? Yeah.
A first day
I saw him projected in the third round, which I think he's probably right.
Second, third rounder.
Yeah. I mean, he's undersized, but he plays with a motor. You can definitely find a spot for him. Yeah, those guys are going to have a big game. The defensive line. It's going to come down to if they can get after Rattler. If they can, I think we have a pretty good chance of making it a game.
I think this is where, because there's a lot of people that said that our defense has been very bland. Not much blitzes, not much rushes. It's just kind of been, each individual player breaking it. Getting through. I mean, your Dante and Darius Steele, Bartlett's, Chandler Samito, all them, Tony Fields, they've been making it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you start seeing this defensive staff open up this defensive playbook and say, we're going to sell out here.
I wish Durrett was here this morning, because you know who's going to have a huge game? Tyke Smith. Because Tyke Smith is going to have to play like a cornerback.
Right.
And to date, he has played pass coverage better than just about anybody, not just in the Big 12, but the country.
Well, Tyke's been playing that monster role with the ones that you're, like Mike Lorello.
They've changed the name of those safeties so many times, like bandit,
right.
Spur, whip, whistle, blah blah.
Yeah,
I don't even know. To me, you're either a free safety or a strong safety.
Yeah,
he's a strong safety because he can come up and play the run. But another guy, I mean, it's going to come down to the secondary. They're going to have to play good too. They can't be any busted coverages. I mean, it's going to be a test for this defense. Now, I think they will respond and play a good game.
Yeah, I mean, and I going into this game, I have no question about our defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm comfortable on our defense. It's what offense is going to show up. Is it going to be the offense against Oklahoma State, or is it going to be the offense against TCU? Or you can even say, is it going to be the offense against Texas? Because even the Texas game, our offense came out, decent to start.
Right, and they didn't screw up.
No.
That was kind of the game plan against Texas. Don't screw up. And they didn't. They were able to hang around and, of course, didn't get the pass interference call. Could have kicked 2 field goals, whatever. I mean,
yeah, but that comes down to hindsight, right? That comes down to hindsight,
Yeah.
On that. And I think it's going to be the same game plan as Texas for Oklahoma, except I think more emphasized on this offense of discipline. Don't blow your assignments. Don't screw up. Don't drop 50-50 balls. Fight for the ball. Because here's one thing that Oklahoma will do. That ball's in the air, they're going up.
Mm-hmm.
So if our receivers aren't fighting, we can't. This is one game that we can't lay down. This is one time in, I'd say since we joined the Big 12 that I feel confident in this Oklahoma game. Because of how well our defense is and how well our offense has developed here recently. And because there's nothing that stands out against Oklahoma that makes me think they're just a powerhouse right now. They're a good team.
Mm-hmm.
They're disciplined. They're fundamentally sound. But you got he's a true freshman, or is he a redshirt freshman?
He's
a redshirt. He's a redshirt freshman that, hasn't really got popped in the mouth much. If we can get in there and pop him in the mouth, I think you're going to start seeing a different type of...
I think that's the only way you can turn him over, too. You get pressure on him. I noticed he'll sail a few balls up.
Oh, yeah.
He'll just chuck a few up. But, they got the guys that can go up there and make those plays. So, again, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge for our defense. And I hope it's their last game.
Last home game,
and it's the last game for Darius Stills and probably Tony Fields, maybe some other guys. So
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I wish it was going to be a typical game day.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I mean, we still don't have a game time set yet.
No.
There's the slots available was everything. The noon game, the 3:30 game, and the 7:30 game. I'll be honest, with no tailgating, not a full crowd, the whole midnight magic in Morgantown goes out the window.
And you know what? Maybe that's a good thing. Because the last few times we played them in Morgantown, we have been juiced up, and something happens before the game. There's some shit talk, and before we know it, we're down 28-3.
Right.
And they've completely taken us out of the game. They have responded well to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
We haven't, and maybe that's what we need. In a weird way, the crowd works against us in Morgantown sometimes. We don't come out ready to play.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of hoping it's a nooner. Just
I
because
do too.
it's not typical.
Yeah. And I love noon games in the Big 12 because we're an hour ahead.
Right.
I've always thought that's to our advantage.
Right, because when you get later in the evening, I mean, the only thing that they adjust is what time they wake up, and then the rest of their afternoon, evening is normal. Where being that hour difference and starting at noon,
Got to get up an hour earlier.
And then that throws that throws you out of sync.
Well, our two big upsets in the Big 12, Oklahoma State in 2013 and then Baylor in 2014, were both noon games.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, we'll know this evening what time we're going to play, I think. And I'm with you. I'm hoping it's a noon game because if it's a night game, I don't know if I'm going to go.
I'll go,
especially if it's 8 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going either way, but it's I don't know. I didn't think I'd ever say that I'd wish for a noon game, but
instead of a night game against a big time opponent.
Once again, 2020 is just weird.
Very weird.
Well, let's take a break. We'll talk a little basketball news and a little bit more other Big 12 games.
We'll be right back after this word.
Son of a bitch! Boogie's Driving Range and Barbecue. A natural grass driving range located in Tornado, West Virginia, beside Big Bend Golf Course. Open 7 days a week with golf ball dispenser. Boogie's offers a great barbecue menu with delicious items right off the wood fire grill, fresh every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We also have a newly remodeled clubhouse with bar and a large patio to enjoy the peaceful mountain air. Open from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday, and 11 to 9 p.m. on Sunday. Boogie's Driving Range and Barbecue.
If man is the father, the sun is the center of the earth, in the middle of the universe, then why is this verse coming 6 times rehearsed? Don't freestyle much, but I write them like such. Word. Amongst the fiends controlled by the screens, what does it all mean, all this I'm seeing? Human beings screaming vocal javelins, sign of a local unraveling. My wandering got my wondering, where Christ is in all this crisis. Hating Satan never knew what nice is. Check the papers, well I bet on ISIS. More than your eye can see and ears can hear. Year by year all the sense disappears. Nonsense perseveres, prayers laced with fear. Beware, 2 triple O's. It might feel good, it might sound a little something, but damn the game if it don't mean nothing. What is game? Who got game? Where's the game in life? Behind the game.
Welcome back to Section 3 of 4 Podcast. And a little bit around the Big 12 action. That Iowa State K-State game. Yeah.
Beating.
Yeah, 45 goose egg.
What? How many? Kansas State's lost, 3 in a row since we beat that ass?
I believe so.
They're not. I was never impressed with him.
No, I wasn't impressed with K-State, but I'll tell you, looking a little bit forward, that Iowa State game, I mean, we're going to have our hands full with Brock Purdy.
The running back for them is incredible.
Yeah.
He had a huge day. They got they've been bringing in some players, man. I don't know how they're doing it out there, but they have got some ball players.
Money.
They're paying guys?
Money.
You think Iowa State is?
Well, I mean, if you had a choice to go anywhere, would you choose Iowa State?
I mean, they got that Purdy kid out of Arizona. I still can't believe that. He picked them over, I think, both the Arizona schools, and Alabama was starting to look at him.
They probably called Diddy as a bag man, had him drop on his porch.
Did he run an interference for the Cyclones?
Well, because, I mean, we're doing things legal still right now. So, I guess until we go to the dark side a little bit, Diddy services are for
other
anyone that's
teams
going to
for
pay.
Iowa State. I mean, if you need a bag man, I'm your guy. I'll be quiet.
But that was a shellacking. And then, of course, Oklahoma 41-13 over Oklahoma State. And then the Texas-Kansas game got postponed. And I'll be curious to see if they even play that game.
Well, I doubt Kansas really wants to go forward, but we'll see. Florida State, did you see what they did?
Man, was that not some shit? I mean, you're already down there. And
bitched out. That's all there is to it.
Right.
They bitched out.
Just take your ass whooping.
Take it like men.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence was going to come out there and tear you up after missing 2 games, and just play the game.
That's one thing my friends and I were texting about, were these blue blood programs that are just trash now, like Michigan, Tennessee, Nebraska, Florida State's on that list. I mean, how are they so bad? It makes no sense to me. I mean, it's not like Michigan doesn't get a top 10 class every year, or Tennessee gets 5 stars. They got that kid out of Huntington, and then Florida State still gets like a top 10 class every year. What the hell is going on there?
I don't know, but Tennessee is...
How bad did they end up losing last night?
They end up losing... Let me see if I can find it. 30-17, so not as bad. But how about
Michigan
first,
and Rutgers?
Yeah, triple overtime. I'd say...
hey, they needed a win. Penn State's 0-5, by the way.
Yes, is that not nice?
Hate to see it.
I mean...
No, it's strange that these programs are so bad. I don't know. I think there will be a coaching change at Michigan soon.
I think there'll be a coaching change at Michigan and at Tennessee. I think both those coaches are on
this is his 3rd year.
I know.
What do they expect? I mean, at some point you have to let a guy bring in, 3 or 4 recruiting classes.
But, like they say all the time, but that's the SEC. I mean, we talked about instant gratification all the time. And in the SEC, it's you're going to come in, you're going to win, or you're going to leave. I mean, there's no build your program.
Here's the deal with Tennessee, though. They've been bad for like 15 years now. This just isn't...
They've been bad since Peyton Manning left.
Well, I mean, they had a couple good teams in the early 2000s. They had one of the Clawsons.
Oh, yeah, or not Jimmy.
Rick, I don't know. Anyway, I mean,
Jimmy was at Notre Dame.
They had some good teams, and then it seems like since like 2005 they've been pretty bad. Michigan's they've been okay, but they're not anywhere close to Ohio State.
No.
Ohio State's going to beat them by 4 touchdowns easily.
Speaking of, Indiana.
I turned that game off. Apparently I should not have, because they got back in it. But.
Well, to me, the whole game change in that, Indiana picks off Justin Fields, is returning it, and gets to about Ohio State's 20 on the return, and the guy fumbles, and Ohio State gets the ball back. So not only did he pick him off, but I think it would have been 4th down had it been incomplete. 3rd or 4th.
And they get the ball back
with a new set of downs. And so that was a turning point. Indiana had a chance there at the end to come up with something to try to push it. But hats off to Indiana. I mean,
They're pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good.
Talking about pretty good. This
Oh,
week.
yeah, I'm done with college football.
This week.
Hoops tips off. I think everyone, all Mountaineer fans are excited. I know I am.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock, right?
Wednesday at 2 o'clock, we're playing South Dakota State. We should have been playing. Are we playing? Yeah,
we should have been playing Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, and then we were going to play Northern Iowa, but I
Yeah.
think they flipped everything around because Creighton dropped out.
And A&M dropped out.
Yeah, this is a mess.
So now we play South Dakota State. And Creighton dropped out yesterday, so I don't know if they have picked a replacement yet.
I don't know. I'm sure they can get one of the Dakota schools. But
I'm sure they could. Shoot.
I'm not worried about that. I think people were bummed out because we had some marquee names, and trust me, folks, our schedule's plenty tough enough.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and like we were talking about before we started recording, it'd been nice to play Creighton just because they're what,
11,
4 spots?
I think 11th.
Okay, so 4 spots ahead of us in the AP. They're 11, we're 15. It would have been nice, especially, was it not Creighton that gave us a run for our money? We ended up beating them. But,
in 2005?
Yeah.
Yeah, we beat them on a last-second layup.
Yeah, because we went in at halftime tied.
Right.
Yeah. They were giving us everything.
Yeah, they're a
we
good
wanted
program.
it more.
Very good program. They've been really good for, really since we played them in
Right.
2005.
I was going to say since 05.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like their takeoff.
Yeah, well, they're in the Big East. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll see. We will see. I know our home opener got postponed. Not sure when they're going to make that up, but that was against Youngstown State. It's been a little quiet. I think that's a good thing.
It has been. McCabe came out and said, shouldn't be a question, play Culver and Sheboy, Big O at the same time, which I agree. I mean, that shouldn't be a question. I mean, put them in there. Let them play. Let's go back to the Twin Tower type with outside shooting. Why? I mean, why not?
What? Oh, well, everyone. I would say everyone. If you thought Huggins wasn't going to play them together, did you watch a game last year?
Right.
It's going to come down to 2 guard. I mean, he's said that McNeil and Sherman have shot the ball extremely well. If they shoot the ball well during the game, here's what we need. We need them to hit outside shots so they can't double.
So they can't double
and
down
Culver.
low. Right.
And then that frees them up to just pound the offensive glass.
I tell you one thing I am hearing is, and I mean, we'll find out when things, like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. They said Culver's kind of has had a change of attitude this whole off season leading into this. He's kind of stepped into a leader role, leading by example, being real encouraging, pushing people. So, which is a complete change from the past 2 years, because Derek was always the one that was, well, since he's been at WVU, he kind of got in trouble about going to classes and getting into it with Huggins to signing that contract. And since signing that contract, you got to see a different one. But when things weren't going his way, he was missing his shots or not getting some calls and stuff, that's when you started seeing,
the body language.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if, you wouldn't have, I like the kid. I like the athletic ability. I love his play. But he wouldn't have been one that I would have said, yeah, he would have been the leader of this team.
Yeah, that's a good call. He's a junior. He's played about as much as anybody else has.
Right, but, I mean, he just didn't seem, because of his prior actions and just, letting the little stuff get to him and take him out of his game, you never saw that from Javon. You never saw that from, Dax. You never saw that from Deshaun.
I don't know.
The little
I don't-
things-
maybe Dax,
But you never saw him
Yeah,
flip
Carter-
out. Not like
Right.
not like Derek did.
Carter was unflappable. You couldn't shake that guy.
Deshaun.
Yeah, same way.
So
It's, that's good to hear that he's a leader and he's showing guys how to play because he's
Right.
got a couple young guys that it sounds like he's helping them develop, mainly Cottrell.
yeah.
And Culver, I like Culver. I always have. I think he came in and it was sort of a situation where he had to grow up, and I think he has. I mean, he was late to class. They said he was late to everything, which
Yeah, late
he
to practice.
Snapped out of that. That's great. I like the way he plays personally, but I agree with you. There are times, and you can't mask your body language sometimes.
No.
And you could tell that he was frustrated and kind of packed it in. Mm-hmm. And can't have that. He's got to be a guy that you can depend on for probably 8 to 10 points.
Right, when the
and
tough get
8 to 10 rebounds a game.
When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And
Because-
it's with him, you need him to feed that energy of not going my way. Well, I'm going to make it go my way. I'm going to, okay, that's done over with. Can't do anything about it.
Well, he's so damn big, and he's very athletic. He can be dominant if he wants.
Right. Which is going to go back to like it was last year. We're not going to get, and I think maybe that's one thing that has clicked with him too, hopefully, is you're not going to get those questionable calls. You're big, just like
Yeah, you're going to get beat on a little bit.
So they're just something that would send someone flying across the floor with you kind of just bumps you, and they're probably not going to call that. They didn't last year. They're not going to this year.
No, and I've said it 100 times. If this team makes shots from the outside, they're going to be hard to beat. If
Well-
they can't, it's just going to be like last year. They're going to pack it in and, just let our guards shoot, make our guards beat you. And last year in the Big 12, after a few weeks, we got off to that great start and we went through a slump.
Yeah.
They're good coaches in the Big 12. They can figure out. They know where teams are weak. And last year we couldn't shoot. So even inside we couldn't shoot. I think Huggins said I forget which game. I think it was against Oklahoma. We missed 22 shots with inside of 4 feet. Dunk the fucking ball.
Right. Well, and didn't Huggins come out and say that this is his best roster talent-wise since 2007? Or was it before 07?
Before 2010?
Maybe he said 10. I can't remember.
2010 was the Final Four team.
Well, then maybe he said 10. I can't remember. I mean, there was an article on it.
As far as I can tell, this is the most talented team he's had at WVU.
Right.
It's also the deepest team.
Absolutely.
And that, you have all these guys on paper that were 4-star recruits, and O was a McDonald's All-American, obviously. They got to come together and gel.
Yeah.
And we saw it some last year, but then there were also times where we were pitiful, especially on offense. So,
well, let's clarify when we say best team at WVU, because there's people saying it's his most talented team ever. And I said, it's not most talented. I said, people forget at Cincinnati he had Nick Van Exel, Kenyon Martin, and those guys. That team in Cincinnati was probably his most talented
easily,
ever.
not even close. You had
So,
Steve
now this-
Logan, DeMar Johnson, I
Yeah.
think his name was. He was a McDonald's All-American. And, of course, Kenyon Martin was the number 1 draft pick. So we don't have anyone on our team close to Kenyon Martin. I can tell you that right now.
No. So, I've had to tell people about – a lot of people forget about Cincinnati and how long he was at Cincinnati and, the players he did bring in there. Now, this is the most talented, and I'd say this is probably his second most talented class in his coaching history, with that number 1 being Cincinnati. So I'm just interested to see, because the only issue that you get with a bunch of type A personalities is not knowing your role and not wanting to buy your time to play. And with Huggins, you're going to play. I mean, he jerks and rotates
Right.
quick.
Yeah, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're out of the game. There's no question about it. Quickly, too.
Mm-hmm.
Ask your buddy about that. Number 5.
Yeah.
When he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. Now,
Or gets a little fancy.
Gets a little fancy.
I mean, shoot, he pulled Javon Carter in Madison Square Garden with that behind the, threw it behind the back and nope, come on.
Lesson learned.
Have a seat.
So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm with anybody who thinks that this team can't do some major damage in the league hasn't been paying attention, but it's going to be tough because the Big 12's the top of the Big 12 is the best in the country. I don't think it's the deepest league,
right?
But the top 5, if you get on the Ken Palm, top 5 out of the top 10 are Big 12 teams,
right?
So there are no easy roads to the Big 12 title.
Well, I mean, you say, let's see, the top 15, you have Baylor at 2, Kansas at 6.
Where's Texas
Tech at 14 and us at 15.
15? Yeah. What's Texas?
Texas
top 25?
Yeah, they're 19.
There you go.
So
we're going to find out. I think you're going to know I know we're not playing a name opponent or anything, but when we play South Dakota State, I think you're going to see what if this team is different from last year. And what I mean by that, can space you out and hit shots.
Right.
Because we couldn't do that last year.
Right. I don't have a problem with a slow start necessarily. Just because first game jitters, you're not home.
We ought to beat the fuck out of them. I'm not tiptoeing around that.
I'm not tiptoeing around that. I'm just saying.
I mean, I want dunks.
Coming out and missing a couple shots early.
Yeah.
Just because you got to shake those nerves. That's why, honestly, I'd spread out and hurry up and dish it down to Culver Row and get some type of monster dunk and try to get things rolling then. Because once you get the momentum swing, you know how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see these 2 JUCO guys hit shots.
Oh, yeah.
They're the key. Then I want to see Mr. Bridges play. I don't think he's going to start, but I think he will be.
He'll be the 6th, 7th guy in real quick.
That's what I want to see. I want to see a second wave of guys that come in and you don't really miss a beat.
Right.
And maybe they change the complexion of the game a little bit where we're going to be extremely physical with Culver and O. Maybe you bring in Jalen Bridges and McCabe off the bench and we're a little more wide open. We're maybe play a little bit more up tempo. That's what I want to see. Because
McCabe's going to start.
We'll see. We're going to find out on Wednesday, man. What if he is better off the bench though?
Then you take him off the bench. I mean,
that's what I think. I think he would come in and where we're going to play physical with O and Culver. Maybe bring him in and go small and let him run a little more up tempo.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think that's what I want to see, and it's about this team, each individual guy finding their role.
Right, and I think they know their role right now. Then it's going to be Huggins finding their role during the game,
because
in the situation of what's going on.
I can't wait to see the second wave though.
Oh no, and I can't wait to see his rotations.
Because you got Gabe.
Yeah.
Bridges.
And a lot of people forget about Gabe.
Yeah. Gabe's a great on-ball defender.
Well, and there's talk that Gabe's probably going to come back next year. Which I don't think he'd be going to the NBA this year anyway. No. He'd probably go overseas.
Probably, yeah.
So, that'd be huge to keep him.
Because you're going to lose Culver and O. I would say both of them are going pro.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. We'll see who starts.
We'll see how this team gels, and let's see. Let's just see how dominant we can be. So, on that note, let's take a break. We'll come back, give our Pallet Bar Beer of the Week, and game predictions.
When your heating and cooling system needs service, turn to Francisco Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been delivering quality service in West Virginia since 1980. No matter the make or model, Francisco Heating and Cooling can make sure your unit is back in service in no time. And their work is guaranteed. Francisco Heating and Air Conditioning is fully licensed and insured and is a certified Trane dealer. And remember, it's hard to stop a train. Find them on Facebook or call 304-542-1895. Catch the Mountaineers in comfort with Francisco Heating and Air Conditioning.
Hi, this is Bo Orlando. You're listening to Section 304 Podcast.
You take the clothes on my back and I let you. You steal the food right out my mouth. And I watch you eat and I still don't know why. Why I love it so much. Oh, you curse my name in spite to put me to shame. Have my laundry in the streets, dirty or clean. Give it up for fame, and I still don't know why. Why I love it so much. Yeah. And baby, it's amazing I'm in this maze with you. I just can't crack your code. One day you're screaming you love me loud, the next day you're so cold. One day you're here, one day you're there, one day you care. You're so unfair. Sipping from your cup till it runneth over. Holy grail.
Welcome back to the Section 304 Podcast, where we're drinking beers and talking ears. And now it's, I think it's that time.
Now it's time!
Beer.
It is a great night to be a Mountaineer wherever you may be.
Pallet Bar Beer of the Week.
Yeah. And I think, it's an off week, but a WVU basketball legend, I would
He should
somewhat
be
call
buying
him.
everybody beers.
Yeah.
He got a nice little payday.
He did get a payday. We're giving, as a collective group, giving our Pallet Bar Beer of the Week to none other than the Junkyard Dog, Javon Carter. Hats off to him for signing a 3-year, $11 million deal with Phoenix. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, they brought in Chris Paul. Chris Paul will obviously be their starting point guard, but Carter has positioned himself to be a guy who comes off the bench and provides energy. And I don't know if anybody really paid attention to them over the summer, but once they restarted the NBA season, they finished like 9-0 or something crazy.
Something like that.
And I think they love Carter for what he can do and the energy that he brings off the bench. I mean, Carter's probably not a franchise player or a starter, but he's the kind of guy that you need to bring off the bench. And obviously we saw for 4 years he changes from a defensive standpoint. He can change the game and be an impact player.
Right. Well, and I mean, you say that he positioned himself. I'm going to change your word there. He worked his ass off.
Right, yeah.
Because while everyone else was in lockdown and doing stuff, they said that he was in the gym by himself, busting his ass, which we are accustomed to. I mean, that's all you heard about was, him working. And it's paying off for the kid. And I couldn't be happier for him.
I can't recall a guy we've had play in the NBA that has gotten re-signed like he did.
No.
Most of the guys come in, they hang around for a year, and then they get cut and they go to Europe.
Devin
Like
Ebanks.
Kevin Jones and Devin Ebanks. So
Joe Alexander.
And Butler, Joe Alexander. Butler never got to play because of his injury, but Carter looks to be a guy who can hang around the league for a while and come off the bench and be energy. They've always compared him to Patrick Beverly, who's just like a spark plug. So good for him, and everybody should be rooting for the Suns. We'll see. They have a good young team. It's going to be fun to watch them with Chris Paul.
Which, while we're talking about Javon, did you see he was in working with the team?
Yes.
Jawan Staten had Javon and him working with the guards and then just working with the team in general on stuff, which, having Jawan as a grad assistant is going to be huge, I think, for these guards too. I mean, he fit his role. He learned, he was one of them. Talk about having to take his talent and learn his role and buy his time.
Yeah, it took him a year.
Yes.
He was pretty good.
So.
Pretty good after that first year. But that team, his first year, the team was garbage.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bunch of guys who didn't buy into roles and didn't do what they were supposed to do.
They were individuals, not a team.
Right.
So hats off.
Good to have Carter around the program. That's a guy I think I would say all the guys there respect him, and they see what he's done and how he's done it. So
on top of that's a huge recruiting tool now.
Yeah. Two-time National Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
Incredible. He should be up in the rafters with Hot Rod, Thorne, and Mr. West.
I think he will be.
Eventually, I think he will be.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. So, great.
I don't think we'll have to wait as long as what we did with them.
I hope not.
But
I hope not. I might not be around.
True.
It only took them 50 years to retire Jerry West number.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, well, let's get into predictions. I want your prediction on both. I want your prediction on, let's start with the Wednesday 2 o'clock game, tip against North Dakota State, or South Dakota State.
We're going to win that whole tournament. Every year we've been good under Huggins. We've won a preseason tournament.
Mm-hmm.
We did last year.
Right.
So we're going to win. We're going to win the whole tournament. I don't know who we're going to end up playing, but that's beside the point. I just can't wait to see the team.
Decisively.
As for Saturday's
still game time unknown, but the text I just got said that they're projecting possibly an 8 o'clock game.
Oh, man. Well, doesn't really change anything for me. We're going to win. It's going to be huge. 31-27 WVU. We finally get Oklahoma. We send Darius Stills out the way he should be sent out.
Ooh, I like that. So I'm on board with you with the basketball game. I think we do win this tournament. I think we come out and dominate the whole time. I don't think there's going to be any question. Then for Saturday, I'm going to have to go with my heart.
What's the spread going to be? Has that come out?
No, but
I'm thinking
I bet
Oklahoma by a touchdown.
I'd say Oklahoma by 10.
Could be
because of how bad they beat Oklahoma State. What Oklahoma
they'll
State
be a little
did to
overvalued.
Us. So I'd say they're going to give them 10, and I say, you know what, I'm going to say we win, but we win by 2.
Okay.
I don't know the score.
Got to hold them at under 30.
Yeah.
Got to hold them to under 30. It's going to be a tough task. We're going to need a lot of turnovers.
Well,
Peckerwood's going to have to throw 2 or 3 interceptions for us to get this done.
Or hit him so hard, scoop and score.
And we can't turn the ball over.
No.
It can't be, if we're going to play slow and ball control, it can't be Oklahoma State ball control where we also turn the ball over and have a lot of penalties. It's got to be the Texas game.
Right. It's got to be ball control and scoring.
Yeah.
Whether that's 3 or a touchdown, I mean, we got to get points.
Yep.
And eat clock. So
I was talking to my brother. He said that we only had 9 possessions against TCU. Now, we scored on, what we kick? A field goal and 3 touchdowns. So we scored on 4, almost half of them.
Yeah.
But normally, some Big 12 games, you have 15 to 16. That tells me.
I was going to say, didn't we have 12 or 15, 12, between 12 and 15, I think, in Texas?
Probably. So we're going to have to slow them down and make them play our game. If we can do that, we got a chance. If not, probably not going to beat them again. We'll be 0-9.
with going,
It's a tough pill to swallow after beating them in the Fiesta Bowl.
It is. It
really is. We need to beat them. There's been years where they haven't been very good. It's like old Mountaineer fans will tell you, we always played our worst game against Penn State.
Yeah.
And Penn State was the most talented team on the schedule, so that usually resulted in us getting the absolute shit kicked out of us.
Right.
And that's happened against Oklahoma a lot. So we'll see. Everyone have a good Thanksgiving and
happy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy the basketball team starting. So
hopefully we start with a win on Wednesday, and that just kind of the sports gods.
Be nice to win that tournament and beat Oklahoma, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So, all right, let's get out of here. We'll see you next week.